Unit 1 is going to start off being just an intro to geometry. So this is going to be naming things, how things look, because now we're moving into more shapes. We're going to see angles, 3D objects. And lesson 1.1 is simply naming lines, angles, and planes. So a line, there's really kind of three types of lines. There's just a regular line that extends endlessly in both directions. So you'll see arrows on each end of the line. It's named by any 2 points on the line. So the directions are simply to name it in two different ways. I'm going to name it in a couple different ways so you can see all the options. But you have to name this with 2 letters and 2 letters only. So you could name this UH, and you need to put a line symbol above it, which is a line with the 2 arrows on either side. You could actually name this just UE. Put the 2-ended arrow over top. And then the reason you can do that is because this line goes forever anyways. And so if I were to name it just here to here, that would still keep going and hit this point as well. So it doesn't matter. I could also call this EH. Or any other way as well. EU, HE, HU. All right, number 2 is called a line segment. This is a section of a line. It's bounded by 2 points or 2 endpoints. You have to name it by its endpoint. So I can only call this QV with the line segment symbol over the top. So don't put points, just put a solid line, or VQ. I could not call this DV because now I've shortened the line to only be at what it looks like to be half of this whole thing. This segment has some kind of actual length, say it's 10 centimeters. I can't call it anything other than that. And the last type of line is called a ray. A ray has one fixed endpoint and then the other end extends infinitely, and you always want to read it this way, endpoint out. So one way I could name this is Q to B the whole way. And I want to make my ray face this way because Q is the endpoint. Think of this as the endpoint. This is the ray part where it keeps going out. Or I could call this QE. And again, from endpoint out. You cannot name it B to E or B to Q. It has to be endpoint out. It gives it a direction. So on Delta Math, it'll give you an option to choose a symbol that goes this way to the left. That's never going to be chosen. They're trying to trick you. Okay, now let's talk about angles. It's formed when 2 rays meet at a common point called a vertex. So in this picture right here, this point R is called your vertex. Because see how this is a point where a ray comes out of it and a ray comes out of it. The angle is this opening. Think of a door hinging open. It's what is this degree of this angle inside of here. Okay, so when you're naming an angle, you can either name it by its vertex. So I could simply call this angle R, that's the angle symbol, because there's only one angle existing here. When I say angle R, you know exactly that I'm talking about this angle right here. Or I have to name it by 3 letters. So I can name this angle PRQ or QRP. Those are the only 3 options. And see how the vertex is here in the middle? That will always happen, because you're going from a ray to the vertex out to a ray. Number 5 is still an angle. It's this angle right here. I cannot simply call this angle L. Angle L could be right here because there's actually 2 angles happening with this point as the vertex. So I have to name this with 3 letters. So my options are either angle JLK or KLJ. And see again how the middle letter is the vertex where the angle is actually happening. Last thing is a plane. A plane is just any 2-dimensional flat surface in a 3D figure. You have to name it with any 3 letters on the plane. So see how this plane is diagonal? It's slicing diagonally through this box, if you will. So we're going to call this plane. Any 3 letters you want. U, V, T. You could call it S, T, V, S, T, U. Any 3 letters you want. You just could not, let's say this was point P. You could not call it plane UPV because otherwise that's just a line. So you would have to use any 3 letters on there.